good to have you going down the road with us again. We got a big day planned. That's right. We're going to head to South Dakota. Governor Kristi Noem is talking about the curriculum in South Dakota institutions of higher education. And she's got some strong opinions about whether or not that education is patriotic enough. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the president's budget in terms of what the public perception is going to be. And we're going to take a moment or two to talk about the shooting in San Jose. But first, we start with Thomas Beadle. Now, who's he? Well, he's state treasurer for the state of North Dakota, an elected statewide position, and a man that served in the legislature for a number of years. So, Treasurer Beadle, good to have you going down the road with us.
Thank you, Joel. Happy to be on.
How you liking the new gig? It's not so new anymore. I get that. But how do you like this statewide office?
We're about 5 months in. You know, it's been an interesting learning curve. During the legislative session, certainly missed out on feeling like I wasn't involved. I'd been in the State House for 10 years, so my first session out was, feeling a little bit like the kid who graduated high school but still wanted to go hang out at all the parties. So I definitely had that. But, it's been fun. We've got a great team, great staff. It's really been wonderful to dive into the boards and some of the day-to-day operations and really get going.
Okay. So how old were you when you had your first checkbook?
When I had my first checkbook, I would have been in elementary school probably when I first got one of those accounts set up.
Did you balance it every month?
Oh, yeah. My mom's a CPA. She put good... She made very sure that I stayed up to date on all that.
See, my dad wasn't. My dad was a construction worker. So once every year he'd look at it and then scratch his head and wonder why he spent something on this, that. The point is, you're perfect for this job. You know how to watch money and you know how to know where money's supposed to go. So describe to people, though, what the state treasurer's job is so they understand why we're going to talk about what we are going to talk about.
Yeah. So the main day-to-day functions of the office are pretty simple. It's cash management for the state of North Dakota. We have millions of dollars coming in and out of state coffers every day. And so we work with all of the agencies to process checks, make sure things are deposited and reconciled correctly so that we know where everything is going and that we're putting the funds where it needs to be, and to make sure that the check's clear and the lights stay on in the building because we didn't miss a payment. And so that's the bulk of our day-to-day operations. In addition, we work with agencies, boards, cash management, buy CDs, plan for when expenses are coming, and try to get a little bit of a return on our money. And then me as a treasurer, as a position, I also serve on a number of boards for our state Investment Board, Land Board, Teachers Fund for Retirement, a number of them that have big impacts on our state finances.
And I think that's an area, the last one, because that's why I kind of jumped in, Thomas, was I don't think that gets enough focus. The fact that you do serve on those boards, that you do have input and the opportunity to make sure money's going where it should and that money's making money. So walk people through those boards one more time, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so a number of boards, the ones that really get attention and have outsized impact on our state's finances and where our taxpayer money is being put would be on the Land Board, which I serve on alongside the Governor, Attorney General, Secretary of State, and Superintendent of Public Instruction. And the State Investment Board, which is an 11-person board. The elected officials there is the Lieutenant Governor, Brent Sanford, and the Insurance Commissioner, John Gonfried, and myself, along with a number of folks from the PERS and the Teachers Fund for Retirement system that are on there as well. So we oversee about $24 billion worth of state investments through those variety of boards. The biggest funds being, of course, the PERS, the Public Employee Retirement System, the Teachers Fund for Retirement, WSI, the Insurance Fund, and then Legacy Fund, and then the Common Schools Trust Fund. And those are really the big pots of money that we're investing on behalf of our citizens and behalf of our client boards to make sure that we're getting good returns for our citizens and that money is being put to work for North Dakota.
So one of the reasons I called you and hoped to get you on was because of the Legacy Fund. But before we go to that, PERS, a lot of people don't understand that. Walk people through that.
Yeah, Public Employees Retirement System. We have tens of thousands of employees across North Dakota, whether it's within state government or within some of our local political subdivisions or our school system, college and university school system. All of those employees pay into the retirement program. We have currently in North Dakota couple $2 billion invested at the behalf of them in order to make sure that we're able to pay out the pensions when they retire after their term of service is up and they hit retirement age. And it's our job to make sure that those funds are invested so that we're able to live up to our contractual obligation and pay out the benefits as we promised those employees when they joined in and started paying into that system.
Now, I know what's happening to my money. Not that I have a whole lot of it, but I know what type of return I'm getting on it, and there's nothing that would make me high five on what's coming back at me. When you take a look at what to do with PERS money, when you look at what you're doing with legacy money, and we'll get into legacy in just a bit, but when you take a look at how to put PERS money to work so that that money's making money for those public employees, you know, how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, we have the PERS, we have an advisory client board, the PERS board, that gives us their recommendation of what they want to see. We have a mix of assets between equities, fixed income, global equity pools, et cetera. So we try to have a very diverse portfolio so we can weather those storms. Fortunately, the last year, you know, after we had the early COVID crash, beginning of 2020, we've bounced back in a big way. We've been able to see double-digit growth on all of our investment funds over the last 12-month period, so that we've been able to shore up those funds. But we manage the risk. We have a number of fund managers and advisors that help us in order to beat our index benchmarks, so that we're getting a good return and that we're beating the market expectations for other pension funds like this, because we will set benchmarks based off of what a lot of the other public trust funds are doing out in the market. And so we have our advisors help us choose assets and plan and diversify our portfolio so that we can weather some of those storms and make sure that we're getting a good return that'll cover our obligations.
So are you investing in things that that government itself has an opportunity to invest in that the general public doesn't?
Not that I know of. I mean, we do a lot of publicly traded funds that we're involved with, whether it's various, global equity groups with Vanguard or Russell Index, et cetera. I mean, it's a lot of the publicly traded stuff. Through some of our groups, we will have some fixed asset investments. For example, in the legacy fund, we have an infrastructure loan fund through the Bank of North Dakota. So we've got about $400 million that we've invested through SIB and Bank of North Dakota to go towards a revolving loan fund to help with infrastructure for our municipalities, counties, and stuff. Some of that stuff, because we're doing it in-house, won't necessarily hit the public market for the sale of those bonds, because we're trying to seek some better rates that'll help our communities get better access to financing. But on the whole, no, we're not really acting in a way that would be, outside of what general public would be able to invest in. Well, but we're doing a much larger scale. I mean, we're moving hundreds of millions of dollars at a time for every transaction.
If you're getting double digit, though, it got my attention. If that's the case, I want to talk to my broker. That's all I'm saying.
Last 12 months have been pretty darn good with the bounce back.
Well, that's good. I want to talk about the legacy fund. Describe to people what the legacy fund is.
Yeah, so back in 2010, citizens passed an initiative, set aside a large percentage of our oil revenue coming into the state to go towards the legacy fund to be set aside. Right now, and at that time, we were seeing the oil development grow, becoming a significant portion of our state's revenue, state's budget. Citizens wanted to make sure that we're setting aside a pot of funds that would be there to help offset when oil eventually was reduced in terms of its overall revenue for the state. That fund's grown. It's about $8.4 billion in the current fund value right now, generating close to $800 million of biennium worth of earnings that currently get transferred over to the general fund. Legislature has been having a number of conversations about how to spend the earnings, but that $8.4 billion pot of money is currently being invested all over the place. We've set aside some of the money from there to go towards that infrastructure revolving loan fund I had said with Bank of North Dakota. This last legislative session, House Bill 1425 was passed to try to put some more of that principle to work for North Dakota. That legislation had stipulated that up to 20% of the principal of that fund can go towards in-state investment within North Dakota. Typically, when you're dealing with public funds, you try to diversify those assets. You don't necessarily want to have a high concentration within state, just because it could have more risk volatility. If our economy goes down, we don't want our funds volatility to go funds to be adversely affected as well. But we're taking the step because we recognize that Access to capital, access to equity dollars is something that North Dakota businesses have struggled with for generations. We don't have a lot of outside private equity money coming in to help our new and emerging businesses. Legislatively, through Commerce Department, a number of programs have been done over the years, like the LIFT Fund, to try to help create some more opportunities, get some businesses capital that they need. The legislature and the State Investment Board sees this opportunity to do in-state investing with some of our principal as another way that we can help bring more dollars to the table to support our businesses. The State Investment Board recently voted and approved hiring a firm called 50 South Capital, a subsidiary of Northern Trust, to manage our in-state investment portion for the initial allotment. So we are entered into an agreement with them to invest $250 million of direct private equity money to help invest and grow our North Dakota companies and hopefully diversify and grow our economy as a whole.
Well, why Northern Trust? I never understood that. I mean, what is it about them that made the legislature say, all right, here's this money. You got to help us make money with it, make it earn money. When you had a group of individuals that were doing a pretty good job of it. I guess I don't understand that.
Well, so with all of our investments in fund management, we hire outside consultants. The Land Board, we have RVK. The State Investment Board, we have Callan to be our overarching fund managers. Within them, they'll hire a lot of different subsidiary managers for different portfolios. If for a fixed income asset portfolio, we'll have a certain fund manager that specializes in that, real estate special in the funds in that, et cetera. So what we saw at the Land Board, we opened it up and Callan helped assist us to try to find out who has experience and expertise with in-state fund management programs. Companies or states like Alaska, New Mexico all have experience where they've put out and done some in-state investment funds. So Callan, in doing the due diligence, reached out to all the big companies across the country to see who has experience and expertise managing an in-state fund, because there's some tricky nuances to it. It's a little different than just going and putting it in the S&P, et cetera. And so we had 3 finalists come to the table, and the board interviewed and heard presentations from all of them, and the State Investment Board was the one who made the decision to vote for 50 South Capital to help us with this first initial allotment.
What type of role does the Bank of North Dakota play in all this?
Bank of North Dakota is a custodial of a lot of our assets. As treasurer, our office works with Bank of North Dakota all the time. The Bank of North Dakota individuals do serve on a couple of our client boards, like the Legacy Fund. There's a couple of Bank of North Dakota members that are on the Legacy Advisory Review Board that then makes recommendations to the State Investment Board. But otherwise, we work in partnership with the bank on a lot of stuff, but they don't necessarily manage our investments through these client funds within the investment board. Okay.
You know what, the boom during oil, during the Williston Basin play, money was flowing in, way more than what any of us thought. I realize that, and it was a good thing. The Legacy Fund was a good thing. It's something that I supported. The percentages of what we sock away versus what could have been in the state budget was worthy of a good, strong debate. But when you look at whether or not the Legacy Fund could be used another day with the interest off it, offsetting costs when it came to education, and thereby getting us lower property taxes, those type of issues, I get it. I got it, and I voted for it. But I have to ask you this. At what point does the Legacy Fund reach a point where you on the board and others in statewide elected position start sitting around when you're having a coffee and saying, look, we can put more of this money to work?
Well, that's the conversation we're having now. I think we hit that point this last biennium. The Legislative Assembly had an interim committee that went around through 2019, 2020, holding hearings across the state, having meetings with the public to get the public input for how Legacy Fund dollars can go. The legislature's had that conversation a number of times since 2017, when we were first able to access the earnings off of the fund itself. And so that conversation's been ongoing, and that's really what was the impetus to lead to us doing more of this in-state investment with the principal. Because we have the earnings can be dictated by the legislature. They go to the general fund. There's a conversation about how much of that to reinvest to exponentially grow the fund, and how much do we put to work right away. For example, the bonding package the legislature passed this time, the intent was that some of the earnings off of the Legacy Fund helps pay the debt service on the bonding that we did for some of the water and infrastructure projects across the state. And so how can we put the earnings to work has been that conversation. The principle that we've been investing everywhere else, that's what we just now are starting to really see and try to put to work here in North Dakota. We had done a little bit with an infrastructure loan fund straight to our cities, but now we're going into the actual direct equity, trying to help support our businesses, support our economy, and diversify our economy so that we can try to grow the revenue streams for the state, but also improve the outcomes and opportunities for our citizens.
Well, but when you look at this and you look at what it was intended for in regards to, hey, we can offset this so your property tax can go down, has it achieved that? I mean, if you're in Fargo right now and you're looking at your property tax and you're looking at how big the legacy fund is, you're starting to question whether or not it's being used in a way where, hey, I could save $1 or $2 here.
Right. And since 2013, really since 2009, the legislature has been trying to address the property tax issue. Property taxes are levied at the local level. 2013 legislative session, I was there when we increased our per capita, per pupil funding formula for K-12 from about $3,000 a student to $10,000 a student over the last 7 years to really try to help offset what those property tax or school districts had been levying in property tax and bring that down. A lot of the relief the legislature's passed over the years has been eaten up by some of the local governments. They'll raise the valuation that offsets the reduction in mills because they'll still collect more revenue. So there's a lot of conversation going there. You know, right now, I think it's somewhere north of $1 billion a year worth of property tax that's levied across North Dakota. The legacy fund's generating earnings about $800 million every 2 years. So we're less than half of what it would be if you wanted to just take that to use to offset property tax. Legacy fund's not there. It's not generating that return. But what it does do is it's generating enough return that we can offset other revenue streams and be able to bring other reductions to our citizens. The legislature's repeatedly lowered income tax. There's been conversations about eliminating it altogether, both on the individual and the corporate side. We've looked at ways that we can help expedite some of the motor vehicle excise tax, et cetera, some of the other areas that we have collections coming into the state. And I think investing the funds so we can diversify the economy will get us so we're not so reliant on oil and gas revenue for the state. And then also will allow us to earn more coming off of those funds so that we can have more funds available for the state, for the legislature to then act towards more property tax relief.
North Dakota State Treasurer Thomas Beadle, let's continue this conversation another time, okay?
Always happy to, Joel. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you going down the road. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about guns, what happened in San Jose. So stick around, more coming your way right here down the road.
Howdy folks, it's a Canline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Canline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a comb roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark.
Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee. We'll even ship them to you free. This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug ELMIRON for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked ELMIRON, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call ELMIRON Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
So what's it going to take to get you at the table? It could be a table like this, could be any table. But what will it take to get you in the room, pull up a chair, and sit at the table and have a good, honest discussion about a topic that many people in North Dakota and in my area don't believe they should even have to talk about? That's my question of the day, right? There was another mass shooting in San Jose. In California, 9 people are dead. 10 people if you count the shooter himself. So here we sit. In the last week, ladies and gentlemen, and here's a number I'm not sure that you know, but in the last week, by sheer definition of what a mass shooting is, there's been 17 mass shootings. Now, the one in California, close to a big media center, gets all the attention, right? And of course, we've got a shooting where 9 people have been killed and murdered. That being said, 17 mass shootings in the last week. So, who needs to be at the table? Who needs to be part of the conversation? Because there's going to be all kinds of people now that are going to blame the guns, right? They're going to blame my guns and your guns, when all of us know that the guns are not the problem. It's the individual that's shooting the guns. That's the problem. That being said, when some of these individuals want to talk about the guns, what are they going to talk about? Perfect example. I've got a 17, right? It's got a synthetic stock. It's got a thumb hole. It's got a nice scope on it. It's got a clip. And the reason I use it is because usually I use it to go gopher hunting. I've never gone out prairie dog hunting with it, but I'd like to. So when anyone who doesn't understand guns sees that gun, what they see it as an assault rifle. And that's the term they use. Okay. We can have that conversation if they're at the table and if they're willing to listen to my side of it. We also need to listen to their side of it. Are there things that they think need to happen that could potentially make sure that this mass murderer doesn't have possession of a gun? Right? Are there things that we could do? Do we have too many gun dealers out there? Do we have too many independent gun dealers out there? Are we able to transfer and trade guns too easily? Are we able to get that gun on the same day? I don't know. I don't know what your position is on that, but I know that we could have a conversation if everybody goes into the same room. And it doesn't take away my Second Amendment rights, and it doesn't take away my guns. So if you came into the room and had a good, honest conversation about the role that guns play in these mass shootings, that also needs to be a conversation about the individuals themselves. What is going on? You heard the governor of California say that. What the blank is going on in America today? You're not safe anywhere. You're not safe in schools. You're not safe in the workplace. I mean, you're not safe in churches, synagogues. You're not safe there. I mean, look at where all these mass shootings have taken place. So my point is this. If you do get in that room and you do talk about this broad scope, I don't want to be at that table. I don't want to be in that room unless law enforcement is in that room. Every day they get up and they strap a gun to their waist and they're out there on the front line. I want them in the room. I want suggestions from them. I want an opportunity to talk to them about what they think we could do, because you know what? None of us are around these criminals as much as what they are. None of us are on the front lines trying to stick up and defend people as they are. That is someone that needs to be at that table. When we come back, let's head to South Dakota and let's talk about higher ed curriculum right after this.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues.
Thank you for your patience and understanding.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that the most condescending, rude email you've ever received?
Well, welcome to
National
the
news.
third term of a certain president. I really believe that.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks.
Welcome back to Down the Road. State Senator Reynold Nesiba joins us right now. He is one of the best contacts I have in the great state of South Dakota. Now, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Governor Kristi Noem's letter that she sent to the regents. In other words, in North Dakota, we'd call it the State Board of Higher Education. And in that letter, what she makes perfectly clear is she wants the curriculum, she wants the agenda to be what she wants it to be, not based upon higher education itself. Senator, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Great to be here. So yeah, thanks for having me, Joel. And I'm a professor at Augustana University, and this has a chilling effect on intellectual freedom. And that's one of the things we should be clear that our faculty in South Dakota should be able to teach what they think is right. They're the experts in their field. We shouldn't have some governor trying to tell them what should be their curriculum and how they should teach it.
When you saw this letter, what was your first reaction? Was it shock? Was it anger? Was it, I know it wasn't a smile saying this is a good thing. I mean, when you saw this letter, what was going through your head?
Yeah, I shook my head, but I've learned some time ago that to make sense of Governor Noem, it really helps to just see everything through a lens that whatever she does, she's trying to promote her profile on a national level, and she's trying to raise money. And I think for those reasons, it makes sense. I mean, if you're far more interested in raising money from white supremacists across the country than you are in educating kids in South Dakota, this is the kind of policy you engage in.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, you mentioned money and, of course, raising. Sometimes those are the same two things. I get that. I understand that. If you're trying to raise your profile and raise money at the same time, we're seeing a lot of that with Marjorie Taylor Greene right now down in Georgia, because it connects with a specific audience, which is the one that Governor Noem clearly is playing to. That being said, we can't lose sight of what she's doing, the long-term damage she's doing. So you understand higher education. Augustana is one of the premier institutions, well, quite frankly, across the nation. I know quite a bit about Augustana, not the least of which I used to referee your football games. But when you look at something like this, how do you think this affects the state of South Dakota and its institutions of higher education long term?
Well, it has an adverse effect for those who take intellectual freedom seriously. And so if you're somebody who's teaching simply about that race has been systematic and institutionalized in our laws, that we have a long history in South Dakota, whether you're looking at Native American history, or if you're looking nationally at what has happened to blacks and Hispanics and other immigrant groups, whether it's Irish or Chinese, we have a long history of racism in America, and it's important that we understand that history. I love America, and I view myself as being patriotic, but it's also, one needs to understand that we're not perfect. We have ideals as a nation that we're trying to live up to, and we've fallen short of those. And I just want to note, too, that this letter was sent on the first anniversary, of George Floyd's death. And that's not a coincidence, right? She could have announced this any other time. But on the day when so many people across the nation are pausing to think about racial reconciliation in this nation, instead, my governor is sending out and telling the faculty that you can't teach about institutional racism.
Well, where does she get the pushback? Because you serve in a chamber where the supermajority is from the same party as Governor Noem, and they fear her. They fear her because of her relationship with the president, or the ex-president, Donald Trump himself. And so she has such a close relationship. She has the same style of politics. I mean, she's loading the regents up. I mean, who pushes back? Who says, you can't do this. You're going to diminish that diploma that our young man and young woman want hanging on their wall when they go across the nation. I mean, who pushes back on this?
Well, I would hope my Republican colleagues, other Democrats are with me, but there's only 3 of us in the state Senate and 8 of us in the state House. But, here in South Dakota, I've been here for 26 years. I called the school district just to find out some trends, so I knew these numbers. When I moved here 26 years ago, the school district was about 10% diverse and 90% white. Now it's 40% diverse, 60% white, and each year it's 1 or 2% more diverse. We need to figure out how to make sure that people feel welcome in South Dakota. People regardless of national origin or race or sexual orientation or gender identity. You keep telling me about workforce development issues, and this comes up. There was a story yesterday on public broadcasting that did interviews with people who've left the state. And the biggest reason, there were a variety of reasons, but the biggest reason is politics. If you have a governor that is routinely going out and challenging Native Americans about checkpoints, encouraging laws that are banning trans females from sports, that you're coming out and saying we can't talk about institutional racism, it's a clear message. If you're white and you're Republican and you're conservative, you're welcome here. But the rest of you, maybe you should think about going somewhere else.
I want to give you an example of when I was young, because the industry was quite different. When we used to hire migrant workers to come in to my home area where we raise sugar beets and hoe sugar beets, keep the fields clean. These were people, individuals that worked as hard as anybody I have yet to see in my life. They came up here, they did a great job, and they built relationships with the sugar beet farmers themselves. So much so that I remember my uncle heading down to Mexico to visit with the same people that he worked with. And so this demonization, especially in a state like South Dakota, where you have a big Native American footprint, why? Why? I mean, we need workers in both North and South Dakota. Why? Is it just because we don't like people of color? And when I say we, I mean Governor Noem. Or is it because it just makes you popular politically? I mean, why?
I think this does play to a small, dangerous segment of America that the folks, again, there were a variety of folks that supported Donald Trump. Some segment of them are white supremacists. That's not a controversial statement, I don't think. It's a lot of other people who supported him just because they feel like America isn't working for them, and there's something to that too. I mean, that we have had stagnant wages for ordinary working people for a generation now, and a sense that your kids aren't going to go or be as successful as we were. It's just harder to have upward social mobility, and so I understand that there's frustrations, but the solution isn't to for a governor to come out and say, these ideas are dangerous, and any ideas in this book or related to this book, we're not going to teach at our Board of Regents institutions. It's banning ideas. My father's a World War II veteran. We went to war over fascist ideas like that, where you couldn't have intellectual freedom, where you couldn't have free speech. And it's going to have a chilling effect on our universities, again, for people of color. And what happens if a student brings it up, right? We have a diverse student body. Can a student ask about institutional racism? And what's a faculty member supposed to do? They're supposed to respond and say, I'm sorry, the governor says we can't talk about the history of racism in America. We can't talk about the long pattern of redlining by banks and insurance companies and realtors and appraisers. We can't talk about that history. I mean, it just makes no sense. There is no such thing as patriotic education, right? Like Hitler did patriotic education, right? It was called propaganda. And that's what that it is. And it doesn't belong. I mean, you can study propaganda, but it shouldn't be the centerpiece of what we call education at our institutions of higher learning in South Dakota.
Senator, thank you. Thanks for fighting the good fight. Don't give it up. I know you're outnumbered. I know that she's one of the individuals that's going to win the day in this case, unless people step up, unless they hear the message that you just put out there. And even if they do take her on and they do lose, they know they're doing the right thing and they're going to feel better for it. Senator, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Great. Thank you, Joel. And government banning ideas is always a bad idea.
You bet. When we come back, let's talk about the politics of President Biden's budget. Let's talk about, I suppose we got to use the word spin when we head down the road.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money. So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Your Bismarck Bucks are hitting the road this week, Saturday, May 29th, for a 7:05 p.m. kickoff in Des Moines, Iowa, as we take on the Iowa Barnstormers for the IFL Game of the Week. Catch the game locally on Beck Sports and on our national television partner, Stadium, as the Bismarck Bucks look to improve to 4-1 on the season. Hey, go Bucks!
Earlier in the program, we were having a conversation about the table, about sitting around the table, those of us that are gun owners, and whether or not we'd even go around the table. There's obviously an understanding that by Monday of next week, or maybe by Tuesday, nobody will even be thinking about the mass shooting that took place in San Jose, right? We have time on our side. It's happened before. It really has. So if that be the case, do we even need to do anything? I think you need to ask yourself that. If we can do something about it, if we can have a conversation, if we can bring law enforcement in, then I think we do. Then I think we owe it to the individuals that are going to be at that table to do something about it. Doesn't mean you have to give away your Second Amendment rights. I don't want to give away my Second Amendment rights. I'm not going to give away my Second Amendment rights. But, if there's a way of making sure an individual like that doesn't have a gun in his hands, I am willing to have that conversation. Now, today on my radio show, I had a chance to visit with a nonprofit that takes a look at what's going on in terms of mass shootings around the nation. And what you find is that, yes, there's some areas in central part of America that, you don't have as much, but then you don't have as many people. I mean, if you look at North Dakota, there's been mass shootings in North Dakota. If you look at South Dakota, there's been mass shootings in South Dakota. But do you even remember them? Do you even know where they were? Isn't that the issue here? It certainly is one of them. And so that same nonprofit, when I was questioning them, what I asked was, what's causing it? Going back to what the governor of California said, what's causing it? And, we talked about religion, we talked about race, we talked about all of those things. And what we found out was that it's not just one thing. But we do need to have a conversation, as the governor pointed out, about how angry people are and what's going on in America when it comes to that. The president's going to be coming out with his budget. The economic and budget forecast is going to be released tomorrow. We're going to take a look at that. Leonard Steinhorn is professor of communications with American University, and he's good enough to join us now. Professor Steinhorn, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I don't know if I should use the word spin, what I should be using as much as what I should be talking about, just getting information out there. If you're President Biden and you've got to show your priorities, you've got to you know, now's the time to lay my cards on the table and say, look, this is what I need. What do you do? What recommendations for him would you have?
Well, I think he needs to have a comprehensive sense, communicate that about what's important to this country, not just today, but for the next generations and ahead in terms of our economic success, our competitiveness, how we counteract all of these other power centers in the world, particularly China, and what it means to jumpstart our economy in a way that the wealth doesn't only flow upwards, but that it flows sideways to everybody and behind us to the people who are striving to do better. And I think in the long run, he has to be able to say, this is not about rich versus poor, about wealthy versus the middle class, about who doesn't pay which taxes. This is about making sure that we stand on each other's shoulders and that we all pull together and row together to make this a better country, not just for a few, but for everybody. That's the messaging that he needs to be able to communicate as he pushes his economic agenda forward.
I've never met a president that has tried to talk to all different groups of people more than Joe Biden. So I'll acknowledge that. But then I've never met a president yet that was able to talk to all those different groups. And that's something we saw from the previous administration and something I think we're going to see tomorrow. But, you know, before you joined us, Professor, we were talking about what's going on in America with these mass shootings. We were talking about why people are so angry. And one of the equations there, one of the things that I raised on my radio show today was the fact that the middle class is being left behind. That economically, you're seeing people at 50 years old or 60 years old that don't like where they're at in life. They're nowhere near where they thought they would be in life. And so if you're Joe Biden, and I'm not talking about these specific mass murders, that's not my point. But what I'm talking about is giving hope to that middle class, making them connected to what he says. How would you do that?
Well, look, life is hard in so many different dimensions, and life is a struggle. And I think what Joe Biden has to be able to do is to say, I get the struggle. I get how hard it is. And my job is to give you the tools to be able to climb that hill better, to be able to accomplish your American dream. So he should not diminish the struggle. He should not look the other way. He should not pit one struggle against another. What he should say with full empathy and sort of Joe Biden characteristics is to communicate to people he gets it. He knows how hard things can be. He knows how the rug can be pulled out from under you when you have a good job and all of a sudden your factory shuts down or it moves overseas or it moves to another state or you know, you've decided that your job isn't going to be able to advance you anymore. So he has to be able to say, I get it. I get that everybody is climbing this hill to be able to achieve their American dream. I am going to give you the tools to climb that hill better, to be able to make your life better. So you're struggling right now to balance work and family. I'm going to give you the tools to be able to do that by improving child care services in this country, or if you stay home, by providing you with the resources you need to be able to raise your kids. Then he's going to say, I know that as we have longer lives, that people need to be able to take care not only of their kids or put their kids through college, but take care of their parents and this older generation that is moving through and retiring. I'm going to give you the tools to be able to do that so it takes some of the burden off of you. And then he's going to say, our roads aren't in good shape. You shouldn't have to worry whether you're crossing a bridge. Our railroads are like as if they were in the sort of 1930s. We are going to make sure that our economy is the shining model in the world, and we are going to put people to work making sure that happens. So if you are struggling in your job and you lost that factory job and you have to work as an assistant manager at a Hardee's, I'm going to make sure that those shovel-ready jobs are available to use your talents and skills to be able to sort of get a good job and help rebuild America again. So he has to speak with the sense of, I get where you are coming from, American people. I get all the pressures. I get all the struggles. I'm going to help you make it better, and I'm going to give you a chance to build your life back up again and sort of not only rejoin the middle class, but lock in your American dream. That has to be his message.
Professor Steinhorn, I would make an argument in these red states that are watching you right now that they're thinking that was Donald Trump's message, that's one of the reasons that they voted for Donald Trump. Of course, I personally didn't vote for him, full disclosure. That being said, he connected with the working class. Is that a model? I mean, is that something? You know, all those rough edges that President Trump brought, he certainly connected with individuals that showered after work. He did.
But he connected with grievance and with rhetoric, but not necessarily with policy. So you actually look at the tax cut in 2017. That money didn't flow to the middle class. It flowed to the wealthy. It flowed to the corporations who didn't then invest that money back in their companies in the productivity of the middle class who he's allegedly speaking with. So, you know, the Trump appeal has to go beyond wearing a Make America Great Again hat, baseball cap, and, you know, making that how you identify with the working class of the United States. It has to go into actual policy. Now, some people did like his tough on trade, rhetoric and actions with China. But it's not like he was so unusual on that. If anything, that was one of the more bipartisan approaches that was taking place. But tell me what else that he did economically beyond riding a wave of a good economy that started before his administration. In fact, if you look at the number of jobs created in the last I think it was 3 years of the Obama administration versus the first 3 years of the Trump administration, the Obama administration created more jobs. Now, again, so, you know, the economy is not something that a president is going to influence unless they pump money into it. Donald Trump's approach was to pump money into it via the wealthy and hope that that showers down on the rest of the people. Joe Biden's approach is to give that money directly to communities and to the middle classes and to provide them with the services they need so that they don't have to worry about those things. So the question for all of your audience and the people you're talking about is, you know, yeah, the rhetoric might charge you up and might give you identity and might make you really feel good about life because you're sticking it to those elites through the President of the United States. But what's the policy in place that's going to actually help you?
Yeah, I hope that's what I hear, because I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Professor, thanks for coming down the road with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
He nailed it, ladies and gentlemen. He absolutely nailed it. When we come back, some closing comments for you, and we'll end this trip down the road.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree Dental Card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc. Yeah.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you can pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Maiden Bismarck.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private.
Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug ELMIRON for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked ELMIRON, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call ELMIRON Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
One of the big conversations that's being had right now, and it's going to start playing out more and more nationally, is whether or not the Olympics should be canceled in Japan, whether or not they should be held next year. Well, you know what? A lot of those athletes are a year older next year. Now, there's got to be some reward for vaccination. I'm not a big believer that there should be a reward to those individuals that haven't been vaccinated. Here's a check, here's this amount of money if you're willing to go get vaccinated. Well, it doesn't seem real fair to me for those of us like me that have been vaccinated. That being said, I don't understand what we're talking about with Japan. I mean, I don't. There are testing methods that are instant now. There are vaccinations out there now. I don't get what we're afraid of, what the world community is looking at. I realize it's going to be a melting pot of a lot of different countries. I get that. I understand it. But, you know, when the University of North Dakota and North Dakota State's football teams traveled all over, they couldn't just do that. They couldn't. They had to be tested. And then when the vaccine came out, a number of them took it, or most of them took it. So I don't get it. I don't think it's fair to those athletes that are on that bubble, that have been training for that long. Imagine being an athlete that you're right at the point where you're probably close to retiring, and now they're going to make you sit for another year. It's wrong. It's wrong. There's a way to do the Olympics, and if that means you don't have butts in the seat, you know, then don't have butts in the seat. I personally believe you can. I think that Target Stadium should be opening up, and Twins games should be plumb full. Quite frankly, there's got to be a reward for those of us that have been vaccinated. And that means that our country's opened up. It's good riding with you, folks.